You could find anything. Witchcraft thrillers with sudden zoom-ins and dramatic screams. Slapstick comedies where someone was always falling downstairs. Family dramas with enough crying to flood the Niger. Pastors battling demons with plastic cross and serious conviction. It was unpolished, it was chaotic, and it was pure gold. Welcome to Omar's Story Nook, where history gets spicy, legends get a remix, and imagination runs wild. Every tale you hear is a whisper of Omar, echoing from cassette tapes to the cinema screen. Before the Netflix deals, before the red carpets in Toronto and Berlin, before the new Nollywood glow up, there was also raw, relentless Niger style also. Africa's stories were once told about her, from outsider voices, filtered through foreign lenses, always framed as tragedy, safari, or stereotype, until one day, Nigeria hit record. No film schools, no $1 million budget, no glossy Hollywood soundstage, just a camcorder, a script scribbled on a notepad, and somebody's uncle's parlor with the plastic covered couch. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for funding. They didn't wait to be discovered. They pressed record, and what they captured was electric. Lagos drama, church witches, village secrets, mothers-in-law who doubled as private investigators, and juju that could solve or start any problem. They called it Nollywood, and it was loud, fearless, messy, magical, a mirror held up to Nigeria, with all her thunder, beauty, chaos, and soul. From pirated VHS tapes sold in Alaba market to laptop screens in Harlem hair salons, these stories traveled fast because they were familiar. They were home. Nollywood didn't knock on Hollywood's door. It kicked in its own. And now, decades later, this industry, once built on shaky camera angles and generator noise, releases more films per year than the US, employs thousands, influences millions, and teaches the world. We've always had the stories. Now we've got the spotlight. So lean in, because this isn't just cinema, it's a cultural uprising, a movement stitched from hustle, art, and holy chaos. This is the story of how Nigeria turned soap operas into silver screens and local gossip into global gold. This is the making of Nollywood. How a VHS camera sparked a revolution that hasn't stopped rolling. Before it was called Nollywood, before the film festivals and streaming deals, before Nigeria became the second largest film industry in the world, it started small. It started in a living room with a shaky camera, a handwritten script, and a dream louder than the hum of the generator powering the set. This wasn't cinema born of privilege. It was cinema born of necessity. And in that necessity, a revolution was sparked. Nollywood wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Not in polished studios, but in salons, on balconies, in the back of electronic stores, between two shelves of blank tapes and flickering TV sets. Anywhere there was a story, and someone bold enough to tell it. No investor meetings, no big name producers, just the crackle of ideas and the sound of a generator fighting for breath. It was the 1990s. Nigeria was tired, tired of military rule, tired of waiting. The economy was flat. Television stations were folding. Cinema halls were crumbling like old posters left out in the rain. But in the middle of it all, a businessman named Kenneth Nebu had a stack of unused blank VHS tapes. He wasn't trying to change the world. He just wanted to move inventory. So he did something wild. He made a movie. Living in Bondage, 1992. An Igbo language thriller. a tale of greed, ritual sacrifice, guilt, and redemption. Filmed in just a few days. No fancy gear, no polished sound, but what it had was fire. They shot it like they meant it. Fast, cheap, everywhere. It was distributed by hand, from bus stops to market stalls to the trunk of someone's Toyota Corolla, and it sold out again and again and again. Suddenly, people weren't just watching, they were hooked and they wanted more. So the storytellers got to work fast. They used what they had. Auntie's house became a set, cousin's shirt became wardrobe, uncle's voice played the pastor, the villain, and the police inspector. It didn't matter, they were making something. And every time a VHS tape changed hands, a fire caught. From Lagos to Aba to Benin City, young creatives started grabbing camcorders, writing scripts, directing friends, editing on borrowed VCRs. Each story was a tiny rebellion, a refusal to wait for recognition, and a celebration of how rich, wild, and dramatic everyday Nigerian life already was. The whole country became a film set, and the people, they were the stars. Because Nollywood was never just about escape, it was about reflection. And in those grainy VHS scenes, people saw themselves, their language, their pain, their hustle, their humor, sometimes exaggerated but always familiar. This wasn't cinema for critics, it was cinema for the street. And the street said, keep it coming. Nollywood didn't slow down after living in bondage. It sped up. There were no breaks, no industry standards, just storytellers who couldn't stop and an audience that didn't want them to. Without film schools, they learned on set. Without equipment, they borrowed, bartered, or begged. A house became a hospital. A hotel lobby became a palace. If you had access to a staircase, congratulations, you are now the location manager. Scripts were scribbled on paper bags. Costumes were what actors showed up wearing. Cameras were held together with tape and prayer. Makeup was BYO, bring your own. Special effects, tomato paste for blood, a fan for wind. And if the power cut mid-scene, you waited, sweated, and tried again. Editing was literal cutting and pasting. Two VCRs running side by side, one for playback, the other for record. And it worked. Movies poured out like rain in the wet season. Dozens a week, hundreds a month. VHS tapes stacked in roadside kiosks, sold in traffic jams, passed around like family secrets. You could find anything. Witchcraft thrillers with sudden zoom-ins and dramatic screams. Slapstick comedies where someone was always falling downstairs. Family dramas with enough crying to flood the Niger. Pastors battling demons with plastic cross and serious conviction. It was unpolished, it was chaotic, and it was pure gold. This was home cinema, made for the people, by the people, about the people. No foreign accents, no overproduced gloss, just everyday Nigerians telling stories the way they knew how. With heart, with drama, and with zero chill. And the audience, they didn't care about lighting. They cared about truth, about hearing their own names, seeing their neighborhoods, laughing at their uncles on screen. Filmmakers became legends overnight. Zeb Ejiro, Chico Ejiro, Teko Benson, people who turned hustle into heritage. And as demand grew, so did the machine. The streets of Lagos became backlots. Kano, Onitsha, Enugu, cinema cities in their own right. There were no rules, only rhythm. Because when you make stories with what you have and share them with people who've waited their whole lives to be seen, something magic happens. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. And Nollywood, it was no longer just an experiment, it was an industry, and it was just getting started. The world started to notice, but Nollywood had already arrived. By the early 2000s, VHS tapes were crossing oceans. Aunties in London rented them from Nigerian grocery stores. Uncles in Atlanta watched late at night, feet up, grinning at the drama. Immigrants wept, watching stories that sounded like home. Diaspora children mimicked Nollywood accents during school lunch. Why are you shouting? Because I said so? It wasn't just a local scene anymore. It was a continental heartbeat. In Kenya, in Ghana, in South Africa, people tuned in, copied dialogue, quoted characters, and most importantly, they saw possibility. Then came the digital wave, and with it, a new kind of fire. YouTube opened a global screen. Low budget dramas turned into viral series. Online stars emerged. Production quality ticked up. Cinematographers found rhythm. Writers began to dream wider. Then, Netflix entered the chart. Lionheart by Genevieve Nagy acquired. The Oscars came calling. Film festivals opened doors once closed. Red carpets rolled out where market stalls once stood. And still, Nollywood didn't lose its flavor. It just leveled up. The sound got cleaner, the sets got bigger, the shots got smoother. But the stories, still dramatic, still bold, still unapologetically Nigerian. They weren't just making movies, they were making statements. Names like Kunle Afolayan, Kemi Adetiba, Jade Osiberu, they didn't chase Hollywood. They carved new paths, told our stories on our terms, and the world listened. Streaming platforms started investing. Scripts got global reach. Nigerian actors appeared on international screens without losing their accents. For once, we weren't being filtered. We were being featured. And through it all, Nollywood never forgot its roots. The Alaba boys, the CD sellers, the directors who used phone flashlights as lighting kits, they were part of the journey, part of the story. Because without them, there'd be no industry. This wasn't about chasing trends. This was about creating legacy. From Lagos to London, from Asaba to Berlin, the flame kept growing. Not imitation, not adaptation, innovation. Because Nollywood doesn't wait for permission. It pushes the camera closer, hits record, and dares the world to keep up. Today, Nollywood is worth over $6 billion. It's one of the largest employers in Nigeria, and still one of the most powerful cultural exports Africa has ever birthed. But it's no longer just about output, it's about ownership. The stories have grown. So have the storytellers. Young writers are mixing folklore with fantasy. Directors are blending history with horror. Afrofuturism, psychological thrillers, docuseries, genres Nollywood once ignored and now it's frontier. No more gatekeepers, just go-getters. You find them in Asaba and Abeokuta, in Abuja rooftops and Lagos parking lots turned green screen sets, armed with DSLRs, editing apps, and a refusal to quit. They're building something global from the ground up. They still film fast, but with more precision, more vision, more refusal to copy anyone but themselves because they know something powerful. Nollywood isn't trying to catch up, it's teaching the world how to tell stories differently. No longer waiting to be noticed, no longer begging to be taken seriously. We've got the lens, we've got the audience, and more importantly, we've got the range. From village love triangles to cosmic odysseys, from palm wine politics to cyberpunk Legos. Today's filmmakers are remixing tradition and invention, and they're not asking for permission. They're asking one thing only. Are you watching? Because tomorrow's blockbusters won't come from Hollywood. They'll come from the compound next door, from the girl filming on her phone in Ojuelegba, from the boy storyboarding his dreams on a bus ride to Surulere. So when they say, you need Hollywood to succeed, you say, we've got Nollywood. And our stories, they're non negotiable. This isn't just history. This is Omar's story Nook, where truth whispers between the lines and legacy refuses to fade. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't made in studios, but in living rooms with shaky cameras, bold art, and a dream that just won't quit. Until the next whispers of Omar, stay listening. The making of Nollywood, from VHS hustle to global storytelling powerhouse.